So this is how I tie my Chironomid using flex floss and having an actual wing or some kind of a fin that the Chironomid might have. Since I'm not a entomologist, I don't know exactly what it's called. But anyway, so put a layer of thread down, put a little poly dub, it's polypropylene dubbing or yarn of some kind here. I put that out the front, kind of secure it like this, twist it around to make sure it's got kind of a right direction on it. Give it a good twist. Put a half hitch knot on it, trim that up. Trim off the thread. Now I'm going to trim this up right now just a little bit so that when I go to put the last little bit of half hitching on there, it doesn't get in the way. So now what I do is I kind of lay a layer of thread down here, and then depending on the type of fly or the coloration of the Chironomid you tie, I just use the thread as the base layer of the body, so it may be green or tan or gray, and then I'll decide which color of stretch flex I want to use as the ribbing, and then I go back to about where I got it clamped in, and I'll throw another knot down. Some people don't do that, some people do. I do it just to kind of make sure that the thread's not going to move around when I go to put the flex floss in. This is a red flex floss. It's a nice stretchy material. Sometimes you can stretch it almost too much and it'll fray out. There's a little bit of fraying on the end of this one. Then what I try and do is bite down on that flex floss. I pull it tight, kind of wrap back a little bit, but then I also kind of start moving forward, covering it up as best I can with the thread, and then again I'm using the thread as the body, or maybe even the ribbing in this case, because the body will be more red and the base layer will be black. Go back up here to about where the head area is going to be. Then what I do is I start off pulling it pretty tight at the back, and part of that is because you've got that lump where you secured it, so you don't want it to stand up too much. Then I try and evenly wrap this forward. And then now that I'm past the securing lump at the back, I'll let off some of the pressure. And what this seems to do is it gives a little more ribbing once I put the glue on there to cover the body up. And I am going to use UV thin glue and our finish, and we'll use the UV light to really harden it up when I'm done. So you wrap all the way up here to the front where maybe the head area is going to be. Do a couple behind and a couple in front, and I've got this stretched pretty good so that it will stay secured. Another half hitch. I do have a whip finishing tool, but I was taught using my fingers, so I kind of do that most often. I'm going to trim that flex floss ribbing red off of there, or body red off there. Set that aside. Roll this back up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this black thread, kind of go back a little ways, make sure that that flex floss is down good, but it's also helping to build kind of a head area, and I build that up a little bit with the black thread, or whatever thread I'm using is the tying thread. And I work my way back here to the back. You know, and when you use the UV glue, a lot of times the glue itself will add bulk to the head area, which is good. I'm going to be testing it out this year in the spring, and so I'm kind of came up with this one just to see what it would do. I had seen some nice pictures online of of Chironomid, and then I'd done some pumping last year, content pumping, stomach content, and sure looked like they had some nice little wing cases back here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back there almost to the very back of the head area, give it a couple of good tight wraps, because that flex floss has a tendency to want to pull off. So then I got that there. I go back up to the front. I'm going to put another knot in just to make sure that that doesn't come undone. Okay. And this is the part that's kind of tricky. Sometimes I get fat finger in it and I can't get this stuff to go the way I want it to. But basically what you're doing is you're taking a piece of that orange on each side of the head. You're trying to make it, look as good as you can as far as balancing it, so that the wings look the same. And then what I end up doing is taking this thread, and I'll try and do kind of an easy loop around and another soft loop around, maybe 2 or 3 like that, because you can always pull this up and adjust it as you go along. And so now that I've got that laid on there like that, I want to kind of look at it, right, adjust this side and pull this one up a little bit. And so now that I've got that laid in there, I'm going to secure it. Now this is the part that sometimes I struggle with, because you're trying not to let that knot, or those loops that you just wrapped on there, come off. But you lay one knot on there and you secure that really good and tight. Try not to break your thread. The reason why is because you're going to pull that orange flex floss tight to trim it off, and then it kind of sucks back underneath that thread. So you want to do that. And then I'm going to nip this off. And since I use a clutched bobbin, got to secure that. Now I'm going to pull these tight, pull them out like this, nip it off, it sucks back down in there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And that's that. So now, one of the things that I do now is I'm going to end up putting just a little bit of the UV glue on there at the head, and most of the time that's just so that I can secure the thread there as part of the head, coat the top and the bottom. And what that ends up doing is it ends up building kind of almost like a see-through bubble or head on that fly. And I really like the way it's looking when you do that. Got to kind of make sure that it's all the way around. And then you're going to use that UV light to cure it. And if you haven't ever done this before, the UV glue, it sets up almost instantly when that UV light hits it. And you kind of got to be careful when you're working outside, because the sun, of course, it'll set it up like before you can get done working with it. So just kind of make sure that you're ready to secure it, with the glue. And then what I've been doing is coating the body too. And part of my fear is I've lost a lot of flies over the years, because those fish have nice teeth in them and they rip those flies up, and I don't like to tie too many of them. And so I'll end up coating the body. Some of this I might pull off and put on a paper towel and just get rid of it. But you're kind of coating all the sides, the ribs, and pulling it forward. Just kind of setting that up so that it secures the whole body up on all the sides. And then when you hit it with that light, it's going to be just rock hard. And that's really nice. But as you can see, there's kind of a rib there just by that flex stretch, or flex floss. And so by kind of thinning it out with the needle, gives it a good look. And I'm going to hit that with the light, and that should be solid. Now, one of the things that you want to check though is, so this red, you really can't see that it's, you know, red until you really look at the fly up close or get it in good light. But what's interesting is some of the other colors of that flex floss you got to be careful of, because they don't say they're UV colors, but I'm going to show you this, and this is the same flex floss in green. So now here's the green, you hit that with a light and look how bright that is, but the red, it doesn't show up like that at all. You know, here's the UV or the red flex floss that we use for the body, and it doesn't do that at all. So it's something to think about when you're picking the colors that you're going to use for your body. The other thing is that we found is that just a regular old Sharpie pen you can use to create that same, you know, wing color. You use a white flex floss, you put it on there, and then you use a yellow Sharpie. And what's interesting is, you look at this coloration. So here's the yellow on this tea bag, right? It doesn't really stand out, but you do that and look how much it pops out of there. And it's the same thing on the wing cases. These are where we used it to highlight the white flex floss. And boy, it really stands out. So anyways, I hope that this helps, and that's what the end product looks like. It's kind of nice. It's got that orange wing case there at the tip, and that, you know, hopefully that'll attract the flies. And again, you know, like I say, it's like that UV glue makes that head look like it's a little bigger than it really is. So anyways, good luck. I hope it catches fish. Tight lines.